tuned into the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
Hello and welcome to the 2-Minute Warning, powered by the Westside Gazette newspaper, which has been bringing news and unfiltered stories to the Broward community for 54 years. And joining me here at the panel is the publisher of the Westside Gazette, Mr. Bobby Henry. Bobby, how you doing, my brother?
Good evening, my brother, all the way out there on the other side of the world. I'm terrific and getting better. If you see me looking down, man, it's because I just got a flash to come across my email about one of our, excuse me, one of our patriots, would be a matriarch in the legislative system, Sister Geraldine Thompson, man. She's a state senator from Orlando, man. She passed away this evening.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is with profound sadness that, man, things are happening all over the place. But when the angel of death finds its way to creep into, boldly come into our lives, man, it really allows us to look at and see just what really matters. So to the family, to Senator Thompson's family, you have our deepest sympathy and condolences for a leader originally from Louisiana and came to Florida. You know, so man, it's with profound sadness that we give our hearts and our condolences to the family.
Prayers for sure.
Yeah.
And when what years did she serve?
Oh wow, let me pull that back up here. You would have asked me that, put me right on the spot. She was there. Yeah, I was just reading it.
Didn't mean to, but yeah,
that's okay.
I mean, it was news.
That's okay. She was 2 terms, as a matter of fact, from 2016 to. Okay, Lord have mercy. Let me pull you up. I just had you here. Just keep talking, Perry.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Yeah, and to hear, not to go into the details, but to hear that it was just from a medical complication. I mean,
yeah.
So
right. That was another thing, man. And to those of us who are running out to get total knee replacements, please listen to the doctor and follow those instructions. She passed away from complications, according to this. I got 2 things going on, and I apologize. I got Dr. Chavis on one line and trying to do this on the other one. Keep talking, Perry.
You the news man. Yep.
Let me do this. Y'all keep going. Probably take my screen.
Okay.
Let me do this.
But yeah, it has been a week of news, and but before we continue on the show and Bobby comes back, just really want to say thank all of you for joining us this evening. We have a packed-filled show. 2 dynamic speakers who will be joining us at a timely point in how we maneuver in this new age that we're in, and I'm just so excited to hear from our guests. And I know Bobby's jumping all over the place. That's the NNPA chairman, and so I know he's doing his duties. But let me see who's on with us tonight. Just want to give some shout outs if I could see who's joining us. Let's see. Can't get that in right now. But anyway.
Okay.
Here's Bobby.
Yeah, Perry, I do apologize. That's one of our guests that's coming on. I had to reconnect. I do apologize for that. It's so much happening, man. I mean, it's like things are just one after another. Things are happening. I don't know where were you, Perry? I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's really where I was, and just saying that we have looking forward to the conversation, because we are at a point in time where we are having to navigate some unfamiliar terrain.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And what better way to navigate this terrain than to have two, I don't want to say opposing views, but from
Right.
different parts of the spectrum. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's going to be great. And, you know,
Right.
our the front pages of every black newspaper across the country has been focused on the NNPA launches a national public education selective buying campaign, you know, trying to get the attention of those who are in position to make things happen, to recognize that we are still the voice of Black
Mm-hmm.
America, you know, and that's on the front page of every NNPA newspaper, every Black-owned newspaper within the NNPA. That one
Right.
message. Excuse me.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and especially at a time when uh, we really have to be selective about what informs us. Uh, this is definitely a time that we need a strong black press
mhm,
that's able to speak the issues to us in a way that we understand.
okay. Okay, and Perry, with that, we are fortunate enough to have the president and CEO of the NNPA, the renowned civil rights fighter, and you mentioned his name. There's a plethora of things that jump up from the hip
Hmm.
hop culture to the civil rights movement. This is our leader, our president, our CEO. Uh, of the NNPA, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, the Black Press of America. This is who we champion behind and leading us to get us to where we need to be. So if I can just bring him on, because we caught him in the middle of something, and he was gracious enough to allow us to have a little bit of his time. So good evening, Dr. Chavis.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Mhm. Thank you so very much for joining us, for coming, breaking away from your engagement to engage with us for a little while.
Well, thank you.
Uh,
This is a propitious moment.
mhm, mhm,
Um, I think that once again, on the 198th anniversary of the Black Press of America, we have to rise to the occasion.
mhm,
And I just want to point out to all the listeners, first of all, Chairman Bobby Henry of the National Newspaper Publishers Association and Brother Perry, thank you for your diligence in keeping this program going every week. There's so many distractions out here for Black America, and we need to have a focused discussion, a focused uh, understanding of what we all can do together. Anybody that's listening, we all have a responsibility. You know, no one is uh, exempt from struggling for freedom, justice, and equality.
mhm,
And that doesn't mean we all do the same thing, but it does mean we got to do something.
mhm.
So I'm pleased to take this time to be in your program, and I'm honored to be in your presence.
Well, thank you so very much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Chavis. Yeah, thank you. Perry, you want to bring on our next guest, and this so we can get the most out of this time that we can.
Uh, yes, our next guest is no stranger to the show. He is a Broward born and raised native. His talents go well beyond his years. He has spent time as a rapper. He has won acclaim and awards as a rapper, but he has turned his attention and his passion to the community. And that is how I got to meet our next guest through a program that he has been doing with our youth in ways that he is. The innovative ways he is delivering history, not just to our youth, but to our community. Uh, just by using novel ideas such as trading cards old baseball cards to help bring historical figures to the consciousness of our youth. He and his partner Brandon run a organization that helps businesses as well as the youth, and it's called Positivity Pays.
Okay.
And so, without any further delay, Mr. Ramon Absoloot Robinson.
Thanks so much for having me. That's an incredible introduction.
I'm just trying to pay you back because if anybody ever hears Ramon introduce you, man, shoot you, he'll put you on the pedestal.
Now check this out. Ramon, do you remember when you made the card and we made a presentation to Dr. Chavis?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Doc, we're bringing this full circle.
And I definitely remember. Ramon, it's good to see you again.
It's so great to see you again, Dr. Chavis. So
Thank
great
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
And your paths intertwined in another way. Ramon's, it was your aunt, right? That was a panther, a Black Panther, correct?
Yeah, my aunt Claudia Grayson, she was known as Sister Sheba with the Black Panthers. That's correct.
Very good. Keep talking, Ramon. We're going to Doc is engaged.
Yeah, so I see he's at dinner. Yeah, so the amazing thing is I still keep very close touch with my aunt and my mother, my aunt, my father. They're always inspiring me, helping push just further and making sure I keep up that fight. It's a lot of people I think have become complacent and not realizing there are some forces out there that are trying to push us out and try to silence us. So whether it's with music or whether it's with trading cards or comic books, I'm always trying to get that word out there.
Okay, well let's chop this thing up. Come on, Perry. We want to get this conversation going. And we got like I said, two great entities here to chop it up. So Dr. Chavis,
Yes.
the NNPA and are struggling for our voices to be heard, to get our readers to understand just how important it is to speak daily with our dollars. How is that? What is happening with that? How is that transpiring?
Well, thank you very much. Currently, African Americans spend $2 trillion in the American economy. But that money flows out of our community rather than in our community. And I think that Ramon in particular, we have cultural geniuses in our community. We have creative artists in our community. We have people that set trends, not just for Black people, but for people all over the world. I think we need to come together. And one of the things I pointed out today at an earlier meeting, Black people, we're not all monolithic. There's diversity within the Black community. However, there's some underlying realities that should enable us to unite with one strong force. And that, in particular with our young people, I'm very encouraged, not discouraged, I'm encouraged. Because I see our young people hungry and thirsty for information. And so, Brother Chairman, our role in the National Black Press of America and the NNPA, we got to make sure that we give our young people the information, the facts, but we give it in a way to them that's inspiring and motivational. The mainstream press is depressive. The mainstream press is divisive. The mainstream press tries to counter the value of our own productivity as a people. And that's where the Black press comes in, as the trusted voice of Black America. And we need more programs like we're having tonight, more discussions. And then between the programs and our discussions, we got to hit every community, door by door, family by family, community by community, region by region. And I believe that our people be responsive to the extent to which we reach out to them with actual facts and with a sense, a reminder that we've had hard times before. So the question is, what enabled us to make it through hard times before? It was our sense of purpose, our sense of unity, our sense of embracing our own culture, because for us, Black culture has been a protective force against the forces of oppression. And, I was so honored to witness Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl. First of all, he had two black quarterbacks. He had black people on both sides. But in his reminder of his lyrics and the spontaneity of his lyrics, the truth of his lyrics, served to inspire. And then when Serena Williams did the crip walk, I've been trying to learn the crip walk since Sunday. I'm trying, I need
Don't
to.
hurt yourself, Doc. I've seen you sober now. I've seen that.
I'm telling you, when we go to Howard University for Black
Mhm.
this week, I'm standing up. I'm gonna do the crip walk.
Well, I'll follow suit. Ramon,
Yes, sir.
let's build on that, man. Let's build on what Dr. Chavis has just laid out.
Absolutely. So as you guys know, one of the things that I try to do is be as supportive as possible and kind of bridging that gap. So there's so much that I didn't know about the West Side Gazette, Dr. Chavis, and once I got introduced, it was the only thing I could think is what can I do to support them? How many people can I introduce them to? I think that's one of the biggest things in our community is continuing to expose each other to something that they may not know of. I'm up here now in the Fort Pierce area. I'm working with some amazing artists up here, some amazing people up here in the Black community. And it's like, are they familiar with the West Side Gazette? Are they familiar with Dr. Chavis and the work that he's done for so many years? And for those that are not familiar, a lot of our youth, I make it my job to educate them on these things. And so anytime I get a chance to be a part of programs like this, I think it's just huge. And as Bobby and I have been having conversations, I'm wondering, what can I do more behind the scenes to make sure that I'm supporting with the knowledge that I have, whether it's for, social media, cybersecurity, anything like that, and just trying to use any tools that I have in my toolbox to make sure I'm supporting you guys as well.
Doc, now over on our end in the NNPA, we have always embraced the ideas of young people. Okay, so how can they join us in this fight that we're in right now?
Well, I think, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we have to reach out to our young people. They're not going to show up and knock on our door. We have to reach for them. And we have to communicate with them in a medium and language and expressions that they understand, but beyond understanding that they relate to. I think that we cannot afford a cultural gap in our community. We cannot afford a generation gap in our community. And I think that, back in the 60s, people used to say, well, that brother and sister is conscious, this brother and sister is unconscious. But the truth of the matter is, there's no unconscious people. We're just conscious about different things. Some people are conscious about strip clubs. Other people are conscious about what's happening in the diaspora. Some are conscious about what's happening with the economics of our community. Others are conscious about what's happening with our children in terms of education. The question is, how can we give value to diversity of life within our community in a way where we're not pitted against each other, but we unite as a stronger force against the real enemy?
If I could, Ramon, let me ask you this: let's use a relay race, right? We're in a relay race right now. Right. So we'll say the seasoned individuals like Dr. Chavis and our leaders and myself and Perry. Okay, we're trying to pass on the baton. How can the next leg of this relay, our young folk, how can they position themselves in order to accept this baton and not drop it?
Well, I think it's a matter of connecting. I can't grab that baton if I'm not connected to you in no way, right? And then there's a matter of educating our youth. A lot of our youth are being educated by a system that has it, just has something against them, and so they're not truly being educated. You have children that are going to schools with Confederate generals' names, and I don't think they're receiving an education that is uplifting them, that is motivating them, that is telling them truly who they are and where they come from. And so there is a huge disconnect in the community when you have so many people in the community that are not being educated by the community. And I think it's important to, like Dr. Chavis said, is educate, and reach out to those that are younger than us, and make sure we're doing the education, right? Because if we're not educating them, how can we expect them to understand some of these issues that we're talking about?
Okay. Okay. I see. I see that Brother Ken Rowland has joined us. Ken is a very conscious person, and I'm hoping he chimes in with a comment. I see that Carla Turner, Ramon, she's giving you your kudos. She said that you're. Did I screw her name up then?
Yeah, so that's I believe Kayla Turner.
Yeah. Well,
Kayla.
you should see.
So Kayla Turner and Kai Turner are, they are keeping the music scene or creating a music scene in Fort Pierce that is, remarkable. They have students that are coming out with music, and it's more clean, it's positive, but they're always educating people. And when it's Kayla Turner and Kai Turner, her husband is a super producer. Just very powerful individuals in Fort Pierce, and I was blessed enough to connect with them. So I'm really grateful that they actually tuned in. Thanks.
Okay, good. And Kayla, I do apologize. I've been known at certain times to mess up names. I don't mean it. It's just I really don't. So I do apologize, and thank you so very much. And we need to get y'all on the show. I see Ken has finally said so. Ken says one of the things that we can use is to hashtag each other in our postings on social media. I began hashtagging if the West Side Gazette newspaper in my post, and that's one of the things that Ramon is going to educate us on. So,
absolutely, and Ken is 100% correct with this. One of the things that we definitely have to do is, and just taking Ken's cue with this, is we got to connect with each other online. There's so much stuff that's online. Facebook did this study where they were just showing that they could manipulate people's emotions by post, and so that they were just showing people the things they wanted them to see, whether it was politics and it would make people angry. If you don't like, whoever's running for office, they would show you messages by these people just to see what they could do. But one of the things that we could, one of the ways we could push back against this is by tagging each other, by hashtagging each other, and by being as supportive as possible. If you see Ken post something that you like, share what he's posted, comment on what he's posting. Even if you're inboxing them a message, but we want to show that not only are we supportive, but we want to show that engagement and that there are people that are active on these posts. Even if it's something simple as just putting a 100, a thumbs up, a heart, just showing that we're there and we're supportive of these posts is important. Because another thing that's happening that a lot of people don't know about is they use bots to try to discourage us from posting. And so one of the ways I worked for YouTube for a little while, and I got to see behind the scenes what was going on. And so some people would, let's say, West Side Gazette post something, somebody would leave something that they knew was false or racist on the West Side Gazette newspaper's post. And if somebody would respond to it, they would then report the response, right? And so they were actually trying to trigger people to get them blocked or get their accounts removed or prevent them from blocking things. So we're actively working against that. But one of the ways that we can counteract some of these things is by making sure we're more supportive. If the 2-minute warning is on, making sure we're sharing it with friends, even if we're texting it, but just making sure we're active in our support for one another. Thanks.
Doc, okay, good. Dr. Chavis, over at the NNPA, you embrace, you brought this openness, this acceptance. So how are we able to benefit from that? Our 250 Black-owned media companies.
Well, while we have 250 Black-owned newspapers, there's some things we need to do in unity, like the hashtag. You know, we need to develop a hashtag that all of us use. We need to develop graphics that speak to our current situation. We also need to determine what our narrative is. Right now, Donald Trump is setting the narrative for America. That's not our, and then we wind up reacting to that narrative. I think it's more better in a proactive sense for us to articulate what our own narratives are, what our own messaging is. And certainly that doesn't mean that we don't challenge the racism or don't challenge the white supremacy. But keep in mind, a lot of this is put out there to distract us, to keep us from focusing on what we need to focus on. So I think the black press, working with our young cultural artists, we need to develop a unified hashtag, one. Two, we need to develop where we kind of support our cultural artists. I mean, all of us should have in our newspapers, Bobby, a page dedicated to the young people who are creative in our community. You know, thirdly, I think we have to write more books. We have to learn from our history. Say this is Black History Month. All right, what's the best way to celebrate Black history? To make some more history, to document some more history. So that's what we're going to do.
I just got a flash across my apparatus here, and this person says that they're watching on YouTube, right? And they say, I strongly disagree with the reliance on Facebook and other social media tags to communicate our messages. The white man controlling these outlets do not have our best interests at heart and might use this info against us.
So I agree but disagree with that, right? And so one of the ways she found us is on one of those platforms. And we need to work together even on those platforms that we don't own to connect with one another. We can take our message elsewhere, right? But we can't connect on those platforms because so many of us are actually on those platforms. But I definitely agree with her, you know, whoever left the comment, in the sense that we have other platforms that we can use. And I keep forgetting, I'm so busy sometimes, I forget the other one, but it's fan base. So for instance, that's Black owned. And we can take these conversations off of YouTube, take them off of Facebook, and start having those on fan base. And to her point, I think it's important that we do that. But strategically, if you're already on Facebook or you're already on YouTube, I think that's a great way to connect with people if we're going to take that message elsewhere.
And now check it out.
Yeah.
One of our
Well,
great.
I do. Okay,
Go, Perry.
go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry.
Okay,
No,
one of our great.
I wanted to jump in on that point, and really just ask Dr. Chavis, who had a front row seat during the 60s and was able to see us galvanize communities. And we did that without social media. I would dare say social media can give us a flash mob when we want to, but it can't give us a movement. So and as Ramon, you just said, it's a tool. So what are some of the things that we're missing by being so dependent on the tool that we can't use? I mean, you know, we got a jackhammer, but everybody can't use this jackhammer.
Right. I think we should use all the tools at our disposal. But I just want to reflect back. The reason why we were able to have a movement for change, effective change in the 1960s, it was primarily the black church and the black press. The black church and the black press. A lot of our cultural artists came out of the church. You know, a lot of our commentators came out of the black press. And I think that we need to continue to generate the freedom fighters. So to me, we should be raising a generation of freedom fighters. And you can fight for freedom in different ways. You can fight for freedom with your poetry. You can fight for freedom with your music. You can fight for freedom with your sermon. You can fight for freedom with how you organize the grassroots communities. So I think all of us need to focus on what it is, what is our ultimate goal? you know, in America and in the world in which we live in. I think that the current administration is just not a threat to Black America, it's a threat to African people all over the world. And so another thing we need to do is have more dialogue with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, with our brothers and sisters in Africa and throughout the diaspora. We could be one mighty force if we all unite and work together.
You know, okay, we got engage our viewers. I see one of our remarkable and outstanding publishers and our national treasurer, Cheryl Smith, has joined in. Cheryl says, click, like, share, tag, and donate. That's a good one. Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. Good evening, Miss Mizell, coming from Georgia. Thank you. And one of our younger viewers says she's just that girl. She says, "Can everyone drop their IG and Facebook names?" I guess she want to tag and do some stuff. I guess that's what she want to do. So thank you. So yeah, we're engaging here now.
And Bobby, I would like to say engagement means not a one-time thing. Engagement means that 24/7, 365 days. To me, Black History Month is every month. It's just not February. You know, we can't afford to not accentuate our progress for 12 months rather than 1 month. And, you know, I think sometimes we allow outside forces to constrain our consciousness in terms of what we focus on and how we do what we do. The thing that I like about the Black press, we putting out information every week, every day, that's fact-based, that's truth-based. And that's why we're the trusted voice of the Black community. But I just feel that, I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm monitoring a lot of the stuff that's going down right now. And the only thing that gives me encouragement is the fact that we got millions of brothers and sisters who are not in Washington, who spend $2 trillion, like all these companies now that are taking away DEI. We need to stop spending with companies that don't respect us. That's just fundamental. And earlier this week, the National Newspaper Publishers Association announced that we're targeting Target. There you go. You see that graphic? That's a great graphic. Target.
I love it.
But it requires all of us to get involved. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back. I see Mr. Rowland has commented again. If we can bring that up. What is Ken saying right now? Proliferation of the message and communication are key components. We must use all the tools in our toolbox. This also is inclusive of old school methods, our churches and our community organizations.
Absolutely.
And Ramon, you years ago, you said to me that social media is a tool and not a toy. You want to elaborate on that just a little? And this was years ago now.
Right. And so at that time, I just saw it as the way it was expanding, how everybody is putting, I mean, everything that's happening in their life on there. And really what the social media platforms are doing is pretty much just taking that information and selling it off, you know, so everything you're posting, and now they have it to where they're using like facial recognition. They're doing just so much on there. There's no freedom of speech. They've depending on what you post, it will be removed. They will be targeting you. It's crazy what happens actually behind the scenes from just working behind the scenes as a content moderator and seeing some of the things that these platforms actually do. And a lot of times it's just with whoever's in office. They do this with each administration, pretty much just carrying out, you know, whatever they want the public to believe or want the public to know. So it's, you know, back then I just saw it as heading in this direction, and that they could use this against us. And this is why I say it's a tool. And so, you know, you have to be very careful what you're putting on these social media platforms, because they're just taking as much information, whether it's your location, any kind of data, who you're with, Wi-Fi settings, all kinds of stuff. They're removing from cell phones, and it's ridiculous the amount of information they could get from just a single person or a single post.
Right. Ramon, just for a second, you said you were a content moderator.
Yeah, so I worked for Google as content moderator.
Right. Yeah. About how many African Americans do you think were really content moderators? I know that. I know you.
So there was a lawsuit actually, because what they were doing is they started doing it in Africa, and so they were trying to. The content is so egregious. They put a cap on the amount of time you can actually do the work. They say the most amount of time a person should be a content moderator with some of the things that are being posted online is about 2 years. And the reason for that is you're seeing the worst of the worst, the stuff that doesn't make it to the internet, not just on social media. And so you're seeing stuff from the wars that are going on. So we saw a lot of stuff from Ukraine and Russia, and a lot of stuff that was going on in Palestine and Israel. And so it's really strong graphic content. But what they started doing is they started doing this in Africa. There's a lawsuit against some of the larger platforms because they wanted to underpay people to watch this content, but the harm that it was doing to them is why they're actually being sued. So they're looking to cheaply try to get people to do this work, and it pretty much just trains the AI. But where I was at, and it was just really, I mean, there were 2 people that were native English speakers out of about 150 that they hired in a short period of time. So the majority of us that were there were not native English speakers. So you might have had people in there that were African American or Black, but they're working in different departments. Like they might just monitor Google in the news. But a lot of people in there didn't even realize what we were doing, right? They didn't realize we were removing this content from the internet and pretty much censoring what people see. Right. And so a lot of them, it was just a job, you know. And so this is when I really started realizing how much they censor the media in general. You know, I would see stuff actually happening. I would see live footage of something happening. Then when I look on the news, none of the news will report it, whether it was a mass shooting or something happening, you know, whether it was a plane crash. And they would pretty much just, you know, I was the one removing it, but they would wipe it off the internet. And so a lot of this is happening constantly. And so they're always censoring what we're seeing and what we're saying and who we're seeing. So it's pretty serious what's going on right now, at least.
Wow. I want to go back to a YouTube viewer that says, beyond idea of selective spending, I'm sorry, we were dealing with one thing. I don't want us to really mess this up. But beyond the ideal of selective spending, we need to conserve our money, marshal our financial resources, and spend money with Black businesses. The anti-DEI stuff will result in many hundreds of thousands of Black people losing their jobs by this summer. The dismantling of the EEOC is one of the markers that Black folks are going to lose their jobs. But I want to go over here to what Noonie Robinson, our great sports person, Noonie brought up a great point. Noonie says, we should also be aware of companies that didn't cave in to the racist tactics so that we can support them like Costco's. Ramon, dealing with all of this influence, this social media, how do we hone in on a message that will be tight and succinct to get us to move in a direction without all this other interference? How do we know what's real and what's not real?
I think relying on one another. So for instance, one of my things is I go to the West Side Gazette for my news simply because I know you guys aren't bought. A lot of the news that we're seeing, these are just corporations. And so they're going to spin it the way they want to. And there's so much money put behind a lot of these news organizations. They're going to tell you exactly what they're being paid to tell you. And then it's important that the West Side Gazette is making sure that they are up to date and that they are working on responding to people as people are commenting, making sure that they're keeping people engaged and putting out the content that people need and deserve as well. And so I think on both sides we have a responsibility to not only show the people that are reading the newspaper the truth, but those of us that are reading the newspaper, we have to make sure that we're supportive of the newspaper, or we won't have a newspaper.
Dr. Chavis, thanks for coming back, and I know we caught you at a very you're giving us of your time, and we certainly appreciate it. As we were talking about, I'm sorry, I lost my whole train of thought just then. Doc,
the boycott? I know we had the question of. Well, I know we're boycotting Target, but also somebody left a comment that we have to support organizations or companies like Costco that are continuing the DEI effort as well.
Absolutely. Keep in mind, there are 9 to 10 companies that have done away with DEI. But we decided rather than go after 10 at one time, to go after one. But we're not going to ignore the other 9 also.
Absolutely.
But I agree we should support Costco. But Costco took a big risk by not following the trend. And we need to, again, it's simple. We shop on those places, with those places that respect us. We should not shop in those places that don't respect us. And believe me, $2 trillion every 12 months in the economy can make a big, big difference. Sometimes I think we underestimate our own buying power. We underestimate what it would mean if we would collectively buy and collectively not buy, based on the question of respect and advocacy for our interests.
We have a community activist on here, Terry Dillard, and we do have a lot of community activists come on and join in the discussion. Terry said that yes, that's what I did. She got back and she's come back home, and so we sometimes roam, but we have to come back. There are things that causing us to come back. I see that Baby D, the space cowboy. Now you got to understand Baby D, and I know he wouldn't mind me saying this. He's visually impaired, right? So his other senses are sharp. So what Baby D has just said, I think is so profound. We got to learn to eat the fish and spit out the bones, So I just think that is so profound. He's tuning in, and we're gonna have him on to have another discussion. So there's a lot happening, trying to maneuver, Doc, these waters, right? We understand, and the NNPA is trying to get ahead of this.
Right.
There are several.
So, Mr. Chair, what I would like to get across before I leave is that all is not lost. I don't want anybody listening to think that we have an insurmountable challenge ahead of us. If you study the history of our people, we've had hard times before, but we always rose above those hard times. And I think that with the Black press, the Black church, HBCUs, the Divine Nine, Black-owned businesses, brothers and sisters in the cultural community, I think if we would only find ways to work together, we're never going to agree on everything, but there's some things we should agree on. And if we can agree on leveraging the $2 trillion that we spend in the American economy, we would not be ignored, and we'll be taken much more seriously than we have taken for. So I want to say that I'm optimistic. I hear from young people, I'm encouraged that they're hungry and thirsty for the truth. It's our responsibility in the Black press to give them that truth, but to give them that truth in a way that inspires them, motivates them, raising the passion for freedom, justice, and equality, intergenerational.
Doc, you just got back from Israel, right? So try. Why is it so important for us to go outside and try to bring others into this struggle?
Well, we are a global people, despite you know, when we talk about the black press, we're not just talking about America. We're talking about the Nigerian press, the South African press. You notice Trump cut off funding to South Africa. I'm so proud of the South Africans. What does President of South Africa say today? He's removing all American companies from South Africa immediately. You know, he ain't playing. And so I think that it's a matter of self-respect. You can't ask somebody else to respect you if you don't respect yourself. So I think that what I saw in Israel, what I saw in Palestine, people are struggling. And of course, we're struggling here. That old saying, a lucha continua, the struggle continues.
Yes, sir.
And I think programs like tonight, you know, the 2-minute warning, you know, we need to pay attention to this warning. But we pay attention to the warning in a way that gives us encouragement, that gives us a sense of renewal. I'm waiting for a black revival in the black church. I'm waiting for a black restoration of the importance of the black press. Our HBCUs are threatening now with cut off of federal funding. So, you know, there's certain things that we're going to have to go down on the mat on, you know, and I think these people in Congress, we need to choose these congressional districts. We need to vote some of these people out of office. You know, this is not over with yet. 2026 is coming, the midterm elections. I think black people are going to have to turn out in record numbers. The truth of the matter is, one of the reasons why Kamala Harris is not president today, we didn't vote. We vote, but we didn't vote it the power in which we could have voted. And we didn't build the alliances that we should have built. So I think we should learn from our history. I don't want people to think that we're in a hopeless situation. It's not hopeless. But lastly, the future will be determined how we shape it. Let me say that again. The future will be determined how we shape it.
Dr. Chavis, we want to thank you, man, and I wholeheartedly. You put aside your dinner, and I know those are some very important people to spend time with us, and we are certainly grateful and appreciative to that. And you have given us a message that we need, and we don't want to prolong you any longer, but we just want to say thank you for joining us.
But thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And, when we go to sleep tonight, before we get into bed, let's get on our knees and pray.
Yes.
And when we wake up in the morning, let's get on our knees and pray. The God of our ancestors will still hear our prayers and answer our prayers, but we got to pray.
Yes, sir. Got to pray.
Thank you so very much. The cost of discipleship.
Hey, man, watch out now. Don't Doc, we letting you go now. Don't start now. Thank you. Thank you so very much. God bless. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, Ramon, let's get back here, man. There was, and I see we spoke about a revival. I see Reverend Adrena Houston Brown said, yeah, send a revival. We need a revival. So let's make that happen. But as we discussed, and I know Perry, we've had some exchanges in terms of young folk and seasoned folk, and how do we? And Perry, you go ahead and say, how do we old people get out the way and let these young folks come in?
No, I just think that, you know, and we do, as Dr. Chavis says, we do see young people involved, and they are involved mightily. But I think if you know, just sit down and begin to engage, they will say one of their biggest barriers is dealing with our elders. You know, and we know that to be true. I mean, those of us of a certain age, when coming through, we felt that same resistance. And I guess my thing is not asking for an easy pass, but how can we use that to better to better motivate and to get us, because we're at a time, and I guess we've always felt we were at a time that it was sorely needed. But I would dare say we've not been in this position that we're feeling this tension, I would say, in the past 50 years or so. So we have a generation who's never felt this kind of tension. So how can we get past some old traditions and allow our young people who see things anew to kind of help lead us? Ramon, I mean how you've been able to navigate it, but it has been rough.
Yeah, I think there's always, so in the way that I do things, I only look to uplift. I try to be very mindful of how I deal with anybody, because I feel like with our people, especially, I'm dealing with the people who's been traumatized, and so I have to be very careful not to re-traumatize or bring up certain things or treat them in a manner that triggers them. So I'm very careful of that when dealing with even the kids that I work with on a daily basis, dealing with my parents, dealing with those that I consider as brothers and sisters. I try to be as mindful as I can of the people that have been traumatized and not to further traumatize them. That's one way. Two, I had the idea while we were having this conversation. Dr. Chavis is just amazing. I am like just honored every time I see him.
Yes, he is, right.
He's honored to meet him. Like he's incredible. But I would like to make sure that we use this platform to highlight a particular business or individual weekly, through the West Side Gazette, making sure that not only do we post them on the West Side Gazette, but we post them on other outlets. If we are connected to 250 different outlets, then 250 different outlets should be singing this person's praises or supporting this person in one way, shape, or form. And I think by highlighting the businesses, the Black-owned businesses that are out there doing the work and fighting to keep the doors open, I think it's our duty to make sure we highlight them, educate them on social media if they're on social media or they're looking to use social media, give them somewhat of an education, but also give them the support that they need. I think that is really important, and that's going to be key. And I think we should, even today, just make a pact saying, hey, look, every week we want to highlight a Black business, and we're going to start that through the West Side Gazette, making sure that we're doing that weekly. And as you guys know, I've been writing my butt off, making sure that I'm getting some of these articles out. And I don't mind doing the work, especially if we have the other outlets behind us. I think that's going to be important, just supporting the people that are going to support us.
And Ramon, when you say that, let me say this: we would be remiss if we didn't highlight those businesses. But those businesses, you have to do something as well. If you can put together a 15-second commercial video, whatever, we can run it on the show. But we can't be expected to go out and get it and then produce it as well. So we need your help, and thank God for what you're doing, Ramona. When you do post that story of that award, we can give awards for what you're doing. We would love to. We would love to recognize you, so our other readers can see you. And not only that, the other 250 Black-owned media. When we do a story, we are a family. Every newspaper, every outlet we have can go in and pull everything they want from each other and run it. So so we made that pact and amplifying our voices. So yes, Ramon, yes. So let's do this right now. Those of you, go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you know a Black-owned business, if you know somebody in the community who's doing great work, a pastor who's continuously giving back, a teacher who's working long hours and constantly giving back, put their name in the chat. Let's have a discussion around them. Let's create articles about them. Let's sing our praises. Let's talk about the people in the community that are uplifting one another. And again, I will commit to writing these articles, working with people. And all of this will be through the West Side Gazette. But we want to make sure that if you know somebody, that you sing their praises.
Thank you. Okay, we're coming up to the top of the hour. Let's see here. What did we miss? Did we talk about the need for our own schools? Did we talk about education? Did we mention that?
So I do want to say so. So we did have one in Fort Lauderdale, New Kevalon. Sister Cheryl that was running that passed last year, you know, and so definitely want to send my condolences to her family. Absolutely amazing woman. And so we have people out there that are operating schools and doing the work, but a lot of times we just don't know about it. And if you know somebody that's running a Black owned and operated school, again, throw it in the chat. Let's connect. Let us support one another.
And I can say this: if I see that our great publisher, Cheryl Smith, a great fam Ewan, Texas Metro News, Cheryl says we post a Black, and she does. Lord knows she does. I don't know how she do it, but we post a Black business every day in our newsletter. She has a remarkable newsletter, and trust me, y'all, go out. If you don't believe me, look it up for yourself. We sometimes have to encourage Black businesses to support other Black businesses. Every church should subscribe and advertise. It goes both ways, and you're so right. But Cheryl, and I'm not just yanking your chain. She has one of the best newspapers in our organization, and her social media presence. You know, so that's great. That is great. Okay, where are we now? Back to schools. Brandy Gray, and Brandy, I hope you're listening or watching somewhere. Brandy has a homeschool school where she works with children, and she does a remarkable job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Brandy, if you would make a little short video with some of them kids, and let's run it so folk can see.
So I want to connect with Texas Metro News.
Yeah.
Mr. Henry, if we could do that, and figure out a way that we could connect with them and share stories. Just however you guys need me to work. I'm here for it, and I know we have a large percentage of the population we have to expose to some of what we're doing, and that's on us though.
Perry, that's your home, girl.
Hey, the Big D. Hello, Cheryl. Always good to see Cheryl joining us.
Okay. All right. So how do we want to close this segment out? I know there was a lot of stuff we could have chopped up, but we did what we could for the time being. Okay. Kayla is back. Kayla, Miss Turner. Miss Turner says this conversation is so important. I wish you could back it up to the other one she just said, and she laughed at me. But that's okay. Thank you so very much, Miss Kyla. And I'm looking forward to meeting you and your husband, and to have you guys on the show. Maybe we can use some of your music as a theme song or something.
I'll send it to you. They're incredible. Like I'm a huge fan. They actually put on a Juneteenth event last year, and her husband handles all the production. He's a drummer. He does the Boys and Girls Club. He has a beat studio where he works with the youth in the community and putting out like clean, positive music. I mean, the both of them together are a dynamic duo. I'm just a huge fan of what they're actually doing up here.
Also, too, and Lieutenant Ken Rowland, I'm not going to leave you out. The swimming man, the coach, Ken is starting to contribute articles to our publication as well. Thank you so very much, Ken. If you go back and look at the paper, you'll find a couple of articles from him. One in particular I like was about the Blue Store, and we need to pay attention to those stores in our neighborhood that take advantage of us and don't give back. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's do a round robin here so we can close out. Paris, on you.
Oh well, no, man. This was a great show. As one of the shows where I was unusually quiet because it was just so much knowledge to soak in and pick up. But Ramon, as always, it is always great to connect and hear about the great work that you're doing. And yeah, definitely, we got to hook up some more.
Absolutely.
Brother Robinson.
Yeah, I'm just honored, and it's a privilege to be on here with you guys. You guys are heavy hitters. You know, I see you guys as my celebrities, because what I'm paying attention to is those that are uplifting the community. I'm not looking to who the media tells me I should like or uplift. I love those that uplift the community, and so I'm really grateful. I'm grateful anytime I'm in Dr. Chavis' presence. Anytime I'm in your presence, Mr. Henry. As you know, my mother was in the
You kept that
West
paper,
Side Gazette.
man.
Yeah, and you know, I went at my grandmother's funeral. She still had that on the wall, and that was over 20 something years ago. And my father and my mother, the only way they could get news media for their business was through the West Side Gazette. So it is an extreme honor anytime I get to be on here. I get to just be in you guys' presence. So I'm so thankful. And thank you, everybody in the community. I'm following some people now. That's why I keep looking down. But I'm just like super grateful for this conversation. And I'm inspired to do a little more tonight. And so thanks again.
Mhm. And thank you very much. I got to say this. Uh, the West Side Gazette on this Saturday will be celebrating 54 years. We didn't, we kept it in house because we wanted to hold it close to our chest and nurture it and just say, wow, man, we are doing something. But I'm grateful to everybody who has poured into us. And we couldn't be who we are without you guys. And so we're grateful for that. I want to leave us with this one thing that comes from Mickey Guyton. Mickey Guyton is a country singer, a sister, and she did this song. It's called "Black Like Me," and it goes like this: Little kid in a small town, I did my best just to fit in. Broke my heart on the playground when they said I was different. Oh, now I'm all grown up and nothing has changed. Yeah, it's still the same. It's a hard life on an easy street, just white painted picket fences far as you can see. If you think we live in the land of the free, you should try to be black like me. My daddy worked day and night for an old house and a used car just to live that good life. It shouldn't be twice as hard. Oh, now I'm all grown up and nothing has changed. Yeah, it's still the same. Oh, I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Oh yeah, who feels like this. I don't belong. Oh, and someday we'll all be free. And I'm proud to be, oh, black like me. I'm proud to be, oh, black like me. I'm proud to be, oh, black like me. Thank y'all very much for this evening. God bless each and every one of you. And let's continue to work together to move forward, to get the rightful place where we're supposed to be. And that's amongst each other. Thank you, and God bless.